Hey guys, it's Miss Bettis. So I'm going to do the first 5 questions that are on the review. Now, it's due March 28th, which is also the date of your test. Please, please, please make sure you put your name on it so we know who to give credit to. So let's get started. The first one says, the graph shows y, the height of a model rocket, in meters versus x, the time in seconds after it was launched. So here's the path that the rocket travels. Now they ask, how high is the rocket after 2 seconds? Well, here's your time. Find 2, go up till it touches the graph, and then go across. So where is it at? It is at 12 meters. And it is always extremely important that you label what your measurements are. So let's look at the second part. Ask about 7 seconds. So you do the same thing. Start at 7, go up till you touch the graph, and then go across. And we are looking at 6 meters. Now for letter B, at what times was the rocket 12 meters off the graph? So we did A in pink, and let's do this teal color for B. At what time was the rocket at 12 meters off the ground? So instead of looking at the X, we're going to look at the Y-axis. So go across. So it hit at 2 different times, at 2 seconds and at 6 seconds. So we put 2 and 6. Now the vertex. Now remember, the definition of a vertex is either the highest or the lowest point, depending on the graph. So your vertex, in this case, is your highest point. So you write it as an ordered pair. When we write our ordered pairs, the x value comes first. So 4 and 16. So 4 comma 16 is your vertex. For D, they're asking, after how many seconds did the rocket hit the ground? Well, that's easy. Here's your rocket. It goes up, but what goes up must also come down. So when did it hit? At 8 seconds. You could also say that it was in the air for 8 seconds. So what does the vertex represent in this situation? So we're talking about that orange point. So I'll use the orange marker so we can keep track of everything. So what does it mean? We're going to say that it is the highest it reaches. Its highest point at 4 seconds. And that highest point is 16 meters. And F, it says determine a reasonable domain and range that represents the situation. So now for domain is always talking about our x value. So we can go ahead and write our inequality, set it up. How far left? From 0 to 8. And both points are on the graph, so we underline it. Now your range is talking about your y. So we can put it as an inequality already. And we go from the bottom to the top. So from 0 to the highest point was 16. And again, both of those points are very important. They are on the graph, so we underline them. Let's look at number 2. The following table shows the values for a quadratic function h. It should say g. If negative 2 is one solution to h of x equals 0, what is the other? So let's look at negative 2. We see that there's a 0 in the g of x, which is another way of saying y. And we'll just change that to the h. So look in your y, or your h of x, look for another 0. Did you find it? It's right there. So what is the other solution? Well, you have 2 ways to write this. You could either write it as 3, or you could write it as an ordered pair, 3, 0. Either one is fine. Number 3. Identify the attributes of each quadratic function. First, they want us to draw the axis of symmetry. So your axis of symmetry is always going to talk about with your vertex. So let's find the lowest point. Right there. Your axis of symmetry is always going to be a straight up and down vertical line at your vertex. So here it is. So while we're talking about the vertex, let's do B as well. So your vertex, you always write it as an ordered pair, x, y. Your x is -2, your y is -1. Now, is the vertex a maximum or a minimum? Well, it looks like a smiley face and it has a low point. So if it has a low point, it's a minimum. And what is the equation of the line of symmetry that we just drew? It's always x equals and then whatever your x value is for your vertex. So in this case, it's going to be -2. And your x-intercepts, or the roots, is wherever the graph crosses the x-axis. In this case, it crosses 2 different times. So you have at -3 and at -1. So I'm going to write it as an ordered pair. Remember, you don't have to write it as an ordered pair. You could always put x equals -3 and x equals -1. Or you could put it inside mustaches. -3, -1. Like so. Where you list them out. Almost done. 2 more. Now let's look at number 4 and see what it's asking us. If a and b are roots of the equation of x squared minus 18x minus 40, and a is greater than b, what is the value of a minus b? So basically what they want to know is what are 2 factors? Like how we have factors here where we broke it down and found our roots. One of these are going to be the a, the other one's going to be b. So if I was to factor that out, it's a minus minus, so I'm going to have x minus and an x plus some number. So I'm going to go ahead and make my little t-chart of all the numbers that multiply to -40. So if I start with 1 and 40, 40 is the bigger number, so it's minus. 2 works. 2 and 20. 3 doesn't work. 4 works. 5 works. And what is that? If you ever have a hard time, just divide it in the calculator. 40 divided by 5. And then once you do that, you should get a -8. Or you'll get an 8. Those bigger numbers are going to be negative. 6 doesn't work and 7 doesn't work. So now from here, you want to, oh, let me skip that over for you. There you go. From here, you want to see which number pair is going to add up to -18. Well, 1 plus a -40, that's not going to work. 2 plus a -20, that does work. So those are going to be our factors. The minus goes with the bigger number, and the 2 goes with the positive number. So when I switch it, so it's outside the parentheses, this is the -2, and that's a positive 20. Well, now remember, it said A is greater than B. So the A number has to be bigger. So which one is bigger? So here's our A, here's our B. And if I just plug it in here, 20 minus a -2. 2 negatives give you a positive. And 20 plus 2. What is 20 plus 2? Hopefully, you can figure that out. If not, just use your calculator. 20 plus 2, enter, and you'll get 22. Last one. What are the factors of x squared minus 121? Notice your b term is missing, so you're going to have an x minus some number and an x plus some number. And the number that goes in there is going to be exactly the same. So when you do that, what number times itself will give you a 121? So 1 times 1, no. 2 times 2, no. 3 times 3, no. And you're going to keep going until you get something that multiplies to 121. When you do that, you should get 11. Now it's asking for the factors. They're not asking for the roots or anything like that. So you're going to leave it. Your answer should be x minus 11 and x plus 11. Alright, Miss Pasquale is going to make the video for the rest of this, and Miss Elizondo will make the very last page. Make sure you study.